You're listening to Parasearch Radio, news, views and reviews from the world of the paranormal from across the UK and beyond. Find us on Facebook, Twitter and the World Wide Web. Parasearch UK Radio. Parasearch Radio, broadcasting to the UK and beyond.
The views and opinions expressed by presenters and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Parasearch Radio or its affiliates and sponsors. Listener discretion is advised. You're listening to Kerry Greenaway and Mark Manley on the Dark Mirror Paranormal Show, only on Parasearch Radio.
Good evening and welcome to the Dark Mirror Show. I am Kerry Greenaway. I am one of your hosts for this evening and I'm joined in the studio with my other host, Mark Manley. Good evening, Mark. How are you?
Oh, good evening. I'm back. Sorry I wasn't here last week, but as you know, I was away all week doing an SIA course. By the time I came back, I fell asleep. So terribly sorry. I was snoring. So yeah, I'm back and I'm going to annoy the whole world. So yeah, carry on.
You're back and full feckle, aren't you?
Yes, I say yes.
I'm a little excited about tonight. Are you?
I must admit, I've been looking forward to this one. So this should be a good show. And may I just say, I've also managed to get somebody into the chat room there who was actually on the course with Martin. So good evening to you and thanks for joining us.
Oh, that's brilliant. Good evening, Martin. There's a little shout out for you. Now, the reason both Mark and I are so excited about tonight is that we have two very, very lovely guests on with us tonight. Now, they're with the Ghost Searchers Ireland team, and they have just done some amazing investigations that we just can't wait to talk to them about. But first of all, let me introduce them. First of all, we have Caron Waters. Good evening, Caron.
Oh, good evening, Kerry. Good evening.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm grand. Thank you very much.
Excellent. And we also have Gavin Heaney with us. Good evening, Gavin.
Hi, Kerry. How are you?
I'm absolutely fine, thank you. Now, Gavin is a little nervous, and as his nickname is the Man Mountain, we have to be gentle with him, but I don't really feel that we do have to be that gentle.
Hey, I'm having nothing to do with that. You know, the connotations that are there, Kerry. You know, come on, control yourself, lovey.
I know. I'm sorry. I can't help myself when there is a new man in the chat room. I can't not chat room, but in the studio as well. I can't help myself. Anyway, the Ghost Searchers Ireland, an absolutely amazing team. They have investigated some absolutely fascinating places, including the Haunted Triangle. Not only that, they have done numerous interviews and television appearances, as well as appearing in their very own fly-on-the-wall documentary, which just looked amazing, called The Last Light, I believe. Isn't that right, Caron?
Yes, that's right. Our team was called up by a local film producer. He was making a movie, which you've just said the name, that was called The Last Light. And he was basing this movie on an investigation we had done up in a big house that used to be a convalescence home, but it was closed down and it's actually left to ruins. But this place, it's up in Larne in Northern Ireland. He brought us up and we were actually ghosts. We were playing ghosts. Very, very original. But we played ghosts, and it was an amazing time up there in this beautiful building up in Larne. And it was an experience. It was. And it was called The Last Light. Yes, you're right, Kerry. Yes.
I thought I'd give that a little mention because I just love that idea. Now, how did you both first get into the paranormal? How did this all start for you guys?
Go ahead, Gavin. You go first, please.
Okay. Well, for me, I think, like most people, I've had just the interest in the darker side of things from an early age. Even when I was a kid, I always loved the ghost stories, excuse me, the horror stories. I loved going to bed when I was really young, being slightly creeped out by things. It's maybe a slightly masochistic streak in me, I don't know, but I always really liked it. And then I enjoyed it, but I never really thought all that seriously about things, about is there something else beyond this life? Until I was in my mid-20s and I had quite let's just call it a very strange experience. And from there on, that's when I started to ask the question and realise that there must be something else out there. And ever since I've been involved in the paranormal investigation side of things, I have just seen, heard, and felt so many things on various investigations. I'm convinced that we're not here alone.
That's very, very similar to mine. I was always sceptical until there's been a couple of times we've been on stuff and my late father's come through, and my son who passed away last year, he came through as well. And ordinarily I'd be sceptical, but because it was somebody who didn't know me from Adam who was telling me all this stuff, it was that made me go, oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think people that haven't experienced anything will always, when I'm telling my friends about things that have happened, they look at you like you have two heads or whatever. But
yeah, they do.
Exactly. But, even the big skeptics that say they don't believe it, I say to them, well, do you know what? Some night you're free. Come along on one of the ghost hunts. And they go, oh, no way, I'm not doing that.
Exactly.
So, despite the fact that they're skeptical about it on the surface, they must believe that there's something there.
Well, yeah, I mean, definitely. There was an investigation you did back in September, wasn't there, for the Australian TV network? Was it Crumlin Road Jail?
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I mean, that was probably before my time with the team, so you'd be better maybe speaking with Caron about that one.
I think it probably was Caron. I was just going to say, before I do pass it over, how have you enjoyed it so far? I mean, what's been the best investigation you personally have done with these guys so far?
Gosh, I mean, I've only been with the team for about 6 months or so now, but there's been already so many incredible experiences. My own particular favourite location, as all the guys on the team know, would be the Crumlin Road Jail in Belfast. We always get something in there. I mean, I have been touched several times in there. I've heard my name called out, and as soon as my name was called out, using the Franks box, I was also called like a very bad word right after that.
Yeah.
That was in the prison hospital.
They do like doing that, don't they? We've had a few of those come through where you suddenly hear some very colourful French being thrown at you.
Yeah, it's incredible. There's, say, the prison hospital, and then in the hanging cell as well. There's amazing activity there through the ghost box.
There would be. Yeah, I bet there would be. I mean, the amount of energy that's been expended there, that'd be lovely to investigate.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes it's good. A lot of the time it can be unpleasant, the things that come through. But even that, it doesn't freak you out. You're not worried about it. It's amazing that you're making this contact.
So you guys have had such a vast amount of history and stuff over there. I mean, as you know, my family have been over there for hundreds of years anyway, but you've gone to all the places that I'd love to do, and you've got the Haunted Triangle as well, haven't you?
Sorry, yes. I don't know. I was waiting you finished. Not a problem. Yes, we did do the Haunted Triangle. We did Kennedy Castle, Leap Castle, and Marquee Castle. What could I say? I was saying Marquee Castle for us was a lot better than the other ones. Oh, sorry, not Marquee. Charlie Castle. Where am I? Because we did Marquee Castle also, but that was in County Sligo. Sorry about that. Flipsy. Charlieville, Kennedy, and Leap, and that's what the Haunted Triangle is. As Kennedy Castle was amazing as well, but they had a big hall where the monk has been seen.
Right.
But fortunately now they don't allow paranormal teams in there. It's more of a wedding venue. But Leap Castle and Charleville, Leap Castle, we didn't get much in either. No, funny enough, they say that is the most haunted castle in the world. I think it was called, but we were there twice. One time and then another time, and I got something a wee bit strange. I got something up in the bloody chapel. It was a photograph of a pair of glowing eyes. Now, the bloody chapel, Kerry, the top of the bloody chapel, it's open and a straw around the place, and there's bats. But at one point, I thought maybe it'd been a bat, but whenever I looked the torch over, there was no bat. It was actually on the wall. But there's known to be an elemental there.
I was going to ask you about that. Yeah, I was going to ask you about the alleged elemental that's supposed to be there, because it's supposed to be quite prolific. It's supposed to show itself quite often. The only thing that I would say would be those glowing eyes. Now, it's about 3 foot tall, and it was on the back wall. We were up where the oubliette was, and looking down where the door was, there was a window. So it was the wall between the window and the door. I got a photograph of 2 glowing eyes, and it was about 3 foot off the ground. Now, I thought at the time I looked at the camera when I took the photograph, and there was a girl with me, and I said, "Look at that." So I turned the torch on and pointed down the back wall, and there was nothing there. So I could rule out being a bat, maybe a bat hanging upside down the eyes of glow when I took the photograph, because the bat wasn't there, and it is known to have bats there. So I ruled that one out. It wasn't a bat. So that's a really strange thing we have actually sort of experienced in Leap Castle.
I was going to say, because the oubliette's known for having a lot of stuff happen around it, isn't it? A lot of sightings and fearsome stuff, and especially the elemental. That's supposed to be definitely, was it smelt mainly and then seen and heard? Yes,
well, unfortunately, we never got much of that when we were there. As I say, we were there twice, and the only thing we really got was those glowing eyes at the wall, which I can't sort of explain. Now, Charleville Castle, now that's a different matter. That is the most wonderful place I would love to get back to. There's a staircase where Harriet, little girl called Harriet, had fell down way back in the 1800s.
Thomas More's castle, wasn't it?
Pardon?
It was Thomas More's castle, wasn't it?
I don't know it as Thomas More. Well, I just know it as Charleville Castle. Now, I'm not too sure. Is that the Moores is the family? Is that what you're saying, Mark?
Yeah. Thomas More built it in 1641.
Yes. Sorry, yes, that's right. Yes, that's right. We got quite a few things there. Now we had footsteps, and we got amazing EVPs there of a little girl. Yeah, so I would say Charleville to us was more haunted than Leap Castle would have been. And Kennedy was a wee bit as well, yeah. So that was the Haunted Triangle. That was our experiences of the Haunted Triangle.
So do you think it's worth doing, I know you can't do Kennedy, but, you know, those 2 that you can do, are they worth doing?
Well, see, everybody have different experiences when they go places. Now, if yourselves went to Leap Castle, you might have experienced your own personal experiences, whether it'll be as a team, as an individual. But us as a team and individuals didn't get much there. Now, what I did notice whenever we were there were drawings on the wall down in the living area, and almost looked like it's been cleansed. It looked like to us at the time somebody was cleansing the place, because they were like what would you call them? They're just markings on the wall as if they're blessing the place. Okay. So don't cleanse the place when they were there without the owner knowing or not. But that was our experience of Leap. But go ahead if you ever think of going to Leap Castle. Everybody has different experiences. You might find something or experience something completely different than we had. But it is an amazing place. It is an amazing place.
Well, when when people go, and do a cleansing of a location, it should always be done with the permission of the owner of the location for a start. And secondly, all it is opening the door for spirits to pass over. That doesn't mean they can't come back. So it just means they're not earthbound anymore. They have that choice whether they want to come back and forth. So even if they've cleansed it, doesn't necessarily mean it will get rid of all the spirits in the place. It just helps along the process of earthbound spirits. That's the theory, anyway, of that.
Yes.
So even if they had cleansed it, let's hope they hadn't ruined the experiences people could have there. But an elemental wouldn't move over anyway. If an elemental is there, it would stay linked to the earth anyway, because it's an elemental. So
you're not going to move an elemental. My ex-in-laws are elementals. You ain't going to move them.
No, but you're right, Kerry. Yes, the elemental. I think that elemental's there to stay.
Yeah, I agree.
But
now, do you think that the Haunted Triangle is so allegedly active that it's because it's all on? Isn't it all on ley lines? Isn't it all on points of ley lines?
Yes, I believe so. I believe that's the reason why it's called the Haunted Triangle. The reason why there's so much energies going round in that triangle, that it's causing so much paranormal or supernatural happenings. But as you know yourself, you can't turn it on and off. And when you go somewhere that is it's renowned to be very haunted, very, very famously haunted, you can't turn it on and turn it off, whether there's ley lines there or not. So, yes, you're right. There's meant to be ley lines on under the all those castles. It's linked. Yes, Kerry.
Yeah, I just wondered if that was the reason why it's got that bondage. You know what I mean, with the triangle being a sacred symbol as well. I'm bringing bondage into the show. Yes, Mark, I am already going down that road.
No. If you do that, I'll start saying aliens.
That's right, Gavin. We're after the watershed.
See, that's gone the wrong way.
It only took me 17 minutes to do so as well.
Oh, dear.
So, Gavin, did you do any of those, or was that before your time?
No, that was all before my time with GSI. As I say, I originally met Gary and Caron and another lady called Anne back in December, I think it was, just before Christmas. And they made the offer for me to come on the team on a trial basis. And a couple of months later, then they made the permanent offer for me, which I'm to this day still very, very glad I am. I'm extremely proud to be a part of GSI, because I'm not just saying this because Karen's here as well.
Yes,
but,
you are.
It's a fantastic team. You know, I was on a team previous to GSI, and the difference is night and day. There's just
I totally agree with you.
Yeah, the places that I have seen through being a part of Team Blue and the people that I've met, it's just been a fantastic experience so far, and long may it continue.
It does seem a very close-knit team, to be fair. When I was researching your team, it seems like it's an incredibly close-knit, very family feel team to it, that you all each have each other's backs, and it's a well-balanced team as well.
Yeah, I think so. Sorry to keep saying about the 6-month thing, but even though it's only been that length of time, I feel like I've known Caron and Gary for, excuse me, sorry, you're still there?
Yeah, we're still here. We're listening.
Right, went bananas there. I feel like I've known Caron and Gary for a lot longer than that. Saoirse as well, one of the other members who's been on the team for 2 or 3 years now. Lovely girl. And the 2 new members that have come in recently, another Gavin and Sarah, they have just slotted right in. There's a really good chemistry, really good balance between everybody on the team. Everybody brings their own skills as well as being good investigators. So it's right now it's a really good bunch.
I must admit, I totally agree with you. Going to a team where you all instantly gel, as Kerry and I have done several occasions, it makes all the difference, because when you're with a team that doesn't really get on and there's too many strong characters, it just mucks the whole thing up. But when you get together like you guys, it just makes for a very, very good team. And well done.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah, no, it's a fantastic experience so far, and as I say, long may it continue.
Well,
yeah, so it's one of the hardest things to get is a well-balanced team which is bonded, and it never ceases to amaze me when you come across teams that have got that, because it is one of the hardest things of all the things we're out there trying to do. It's an incredibly difficult field to be in the right place at the right time and log the activity and, you know, get it all done. But when you need the right people in place to do that, and that is one of the hardest things to do. Now, Caron, you're one of the founder members of the team. How exactly have you achieved that, or is that just trial and error?
Well, Kerry and I were in another team which folded, and we were in our conservatory one day, and we loved being in the team before, and we were just, whenever it folded up and it ended, we were sort of lost. We were going, what am I going to do now? We loved all that. So once you get into this type of thing, the paranormal and investigating, it sort of grabs a hold of you, and that's it. It just doesn't let you go. You love it. So Gary and I, in our conservatory, I says to Gary, how about starting our own team up? I says, because I don't think what we're going to do now, but I love that. I would love to carry it on. So Gary says, not a problem. So we said, we'll start up, and Gary gave the name Ghost Searchers Ireland, and then we asked another lady, and as Gavin said earlier on, Amy Kidstream, and then we asked a couple other ones who was in the team before, how about you want to come in? We'll start Ghost Searchers Ireland. So that was the start of it, and we've been going so many years. But I have to say, Kerry and Mark, this is the best team. I would say the strongest team we've ever had in the history of GSI. Because, as you said, we've all bonded. We could always count on each other and look after each other, and we're able to sort of relax and be ourselves. If you have nothing to say, you can be quiet in the team, be quiet in the group, or you have a lot to say, then listen, and we listen to each other. And I have to say, this is the strongest team I think we've had in a long time.
Well done. It is such a difference.
Yeah. I have to say, and Guy would agree with me. Husband, he would agree with me. This is the best team I think we've ever had. Yeah.
I must admit, Kerry, I had to poach to get onto my team, because we were on a team before, and to be absolutely honest, I'm about the only person who can control Kerry on the things. You know, her
to think.
A bottle of hooch hidden in the handbag. You know.
He likes to think he can control me.
Yeah, I have no illusions to that at all.
No, it is one of the most hardest things, as I say, is getting a well cohesive team together that work in a really good way together. And so all kudos to you guys, because you definitely seem to have done it, and you've done such amazing things. I mean, you've got some amazing contacts. You've worked with some fantastic people. I mean, you've worked with Barry Fitzgerald, haven't you?
We have a date, yes. We did many a thing with Barry, yes, we did. We also worked with Rob Demarest of Ghost Hunters International. I was going to say Ghost Searchers Ireland. Ghost Hunters International.
Wishes.
And then we had Brian J Cano there just a wee while ago. So we also have, whenever we went out, Gary and I went out to the States, we worked with a lovely team called War Party Paranormal in the Gulfstream Hotel, and that was out in Florida. So the thing is, we've met so many amazing people that it's worth all the hard work and all the sort of the nonsense that goes back in the background of the paranormal. Because to go meet all these lovely people is the best thing, I think, Kerry, yeah.
I mean, I have to say, you've worked with some people that I am absolutely dying to talk to and to meet and to work with, in all honesty. I'm not going to lie. I was watching your feeds through your Brian J Cano weekend that you had with him, and I was so jealous. I am not going to lie.
But all these famous people, I mean, GHI and everything like that, you haven't worked with me, so you haven't quite got there yet.
Oh, right, Mark, that's it. That has to be going. That's it.
I have to say, I'm sorry, darling Mark. I love you to bits, but if I had to choose between you and Brian, I would go with Brian any day of the week.
Next time I see you, Kerry, I will be down next weekend to see you, Kerry, and when I do, I'm going to whittle in your tea. All right.
Sorry, guys, sorry,
Gavin, carry on.
No, I was just going to say about Brian coming over there. That was obviously my first experience of working with, a celebrity ghost hunter. Yeah. And it couldn't have worked out any better. The guy is so cool, so down to earth, and I think he was genuinely totally relaxed in our company. I think he really loved every second of being here. The back-to-back investigations we had, and then the sightseeing trips that he was taking on as well. He just felt, again, like we'd known him for a long time.
But the poor man was sent home with Northern Ireland lingo. God love him.
Oh, I bet he uses that all the time now.
we told him, says, are you all right, mucker? And what other things, Gavin, did we say to him? I taught him.
I do say that all the time.
Yeah, wind your neck in, just all different sorts of things. I took him about 2 days to understand us, but he got there in the end.
Oh, he did.
Just got to understand you, and then he was on the plane home.
I must admit, when you see him on GHI, when you've got like some of the others losing their heads and things, he reminds me so much of my dad. As I say, he was from Dublin or Roscommon, and Brian was the one who's always sitting back there going, Jesus, let's go and have a look. And he'll go and have a look, and he'll go, no, it's this or it's that. And that's what I like, because I must admit, I do that as well. But it's just so nice to see when everybody, because you know yourselves, with all the investigations we do, it's not every single investigation where something happens. And 9 times out of 10 times, you're sat there getting freezing cold, and the only thing you'll catch is a cold.
Or fall asleep.
Yeah, I've seen that happen before, yeah.
As a proper paranormal investigator.
It is nice when somebody's freaking out and you see somebody like Brian going, no, and he just takes over, sorts it all out, and he's like, there you go, and calms everyone. It's nice to see.
Yeah, he's very analytical about the whole thing, which is really, really good.
Yeah, I try to do it unless the aliens tell me to. If they tell me not to, then that's it. I have to say to Kerry, and then Kerry gets me my dried frog pills, and I'm all right afterwards. But yeah.
You're giving a really good impression of us, Mark. That's all I can say.
What are you on about? We're awesome.
We are awesome.
We are awesome.
But you've already said that I have a bottle of hooch in my handbag and that you need pills. It's not giving a very good impression. That's all I'm going to go with.
What was I supposed to lie, Kerry? Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Typical man, Kerry, with Langy in it.
Anyway, on that note, guys, we're going to take a quick break and introducing Mr. Harry Price to you.
Hello, Harry Price here. Good evening. If there's nothing myself and everybody else enjoy here on the other side more is the sit back and relax and listen to Parasearch Radio with its paranormal news, views and reviews from across the UK and beyond. Make sure to find out more about them on Facebook, Twitter and the World Wide Web, whatever they are, to keep up to date with all their broadcasts throughout the week. And I hope you enjoy them as much as we do over here. Hello? Is anybody there?
Welcome back to the Dark Mirror Show. We have got a fantastic show for you tonight. We have got the Ghost Searchers Ireland in the studio with us tonight, and it is absolute mayhem, as you can imagine. But it's going really well, apart from Mark trying to poach Ghost Searchers team onto our team. So we're going to get back on track, I feel.
How dare you? I know what you're on about.
Anyway, let's get back on subject. Before the break, we were talking about this amazing adventure that the Ghost Searchers had with Brian J Cano. Now, one thing I wanted to ask you is how different was it with having someone like that come along and teach you some tricks of the trade, as it were. Did he teach you anything, or was it you learnt off each other?
Go ahead.
Right. For me personally, the big thing about being in Brian's company for a few days, especially on the back-to-back investigations when he was doing his presentations, was, I've been doing this for a couple of years now, and I thought that things were bubbling along quite nicely. I knew I wasn't pulling up any trees, but I was enjoying it. I thought I was reasonably good at what I did. But listening to Brian speak, I just went, oh my goodness, that man has got so much experience. I know nothing. It was inspiring listening to him, but it was demoralizing at the same time, just realizing that you've got so much more or so much further to go. Mm-hmm. But that being said, say the guy is really nice, and I know I'm still in sort of semi-regular contact with him. I'm sure the other guys are, and he's giving me pointers, and just, he's a cool guy. And the bottom line is, you can always learn. There isn't anybody in this field that is an expert as such. They're very knowledgeable people. Exactly. You're always learning.
Oh, I totally agree. No, I totally agree with that.
Well, I would 100% agree with Gavin with everything he said there, especially the part whenever not one person can call himself an expert in the paranormal. There's no way at all. We're always learning, no matter how long you've done it for. You'll always be learning. Brian, thank goodness, he came over and he showed us his own techniques and the things that whether it be sort of spiritually or the technical side, he showed us an awful lot of things that we have never seen before, and we were amazed. I think he learned a few things of ourselves, but not that much, like maybe one or two things. But we have learned, and we were enriched with a lot of things he brought over to us and shown us. So 100% Gavin, I'm behind Gavin and everything he said there. It was amazing. Watching him work and work in a different way maybe than we had worked, and new ways that he brought over from the States and brought over from what he in the show, The Haunted Collector, what he would have done, what they would have done in the show as well, was absolutely amazing.
I must admit, a lot of people, I've seen on a lot of forums, a lot of people slam The Haunted Collector, but to be honest, I love it. I've spoken to John Zaffis a few times, and I think he's a brilliant guy. Yes. I'd love to get him on the show. Just amazing. Each
to their own. I think it's down to taste. It's what you think.
It's different,
It's different. Okay, it is different. The items, bringing the items in the house and brought in, and maybe that is the item it's haunted. They can bring it out, and everything's fine. But there's a lot more to that show than what the show at the time, without the item taken out. There's a lot of background stuff that goes on, and afterwards and before. So I don't want to say too much, but Brian has told us certain things that whenever you think about it, saying, right, no, that actually makes sense. But John Zaffis and which Brian calls Siggity, and Brian done on the show, and the other guys on the show, it actually didn't make sense, because as you know yourself, if you go into a building and there's very old furniture, very old antiques or whatever, you're going to have that energy of the people who have either held those or lived in the house and passed away. They're going to be attached to the things they loved. So that's what that show, I would say, would have been based around, which, as I say, everybody's different tastes.
Yeah, well, I've said to you before, Caron, I'm a big believer in energy being attached to objects. But Ryan said himself that there's just so much that goes on when they're filming those episodes for Haunted Collector.
Yes, that's right.
It's a nightmare trying to get it cut down into a 22-minute segment for TV.
Yeah,
there's just so much stuff that gets left out.
There's so much good stuff that have been left out, just to squeeze that all into maybe 15 minutes or whatever, how long that episode would have been.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Because I'm the tech guy for our stuff, because I love doing all the tech stuff. As Kerry will tell you, many a boring time I've tried to explain something to her, and she looked at me, yawned and fallen over. But
I
I'm
think
not a tech girl. I will. I'm not. I'm so not.
I love it. I've even got I tell you what I have got is, and it's been used a few times, and it actually, well, I've found it to work. It's like a Simon Says app. Remember Simon Says?
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah, I put it on my tablet, and I literally just put my tablet on a flat place and say, there you go, knock yourself out. And you'll hear it go beep, 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 and it'll light up whichever side is being touched. And I've found that's been very useful for interacting, especially in like the True Crimes Museum and places like that where it's worked. So I love all the silly little things like that. And whenever I see any of it on TV, I'll get my notepad and pen out and go, oh, I've got to try that and write it all down, you know?
What do you guys use apps at all?
We have a few apps. There's one that, well, actually Brian had on his iPad, and the other Gavin on the team has it as well. It's iOvulus.
Oh, yeah.
We have Paratech as well on the phones. But I mean, it's definitely an area where
Paratech.
we're absolutely open to everything. And again, that's one thing that Brian said. He was impressed with our team, that we will give anything a chance. He says he's met so many teams that they're set in their ways and, no, this works for us. We're not interested in that. But, I mean, we will give anything a try, because the more things you try and experience, the more opportunity you're giving yourself, I think.
Oh, I
Yes,
think
No, exactly.
Yeah, I agree with that, yeah. Because, to say, the apps, people will poo-poo the apps, say they're just toys and make it sort of laugh at you. But as Gavin says, we'll try anything that would push the boundaries and maybe get that holy grail of whether be a photograph or the app sort of being intelligent responses through the app to the questions you're asking. No matter what it is, you just try anything, with a silly like the Simon Says, Marcus, you said, but I wouldn't say it because I've seen that work before, down to and up to the iOvulus. We would give anything a try. Now, if it doesn't work and we'll give it a good try, it doesn't work, we put that aside and maybe go on to something new. You have to push the boundaries. You have to try everything that's in the market.
Indeed, totally agree.
You can't be afraid of anything. You have to keep trying.
No, exactly. I mean,
sorry, Mark.
It's all right. I was going to say that, in case you want to know, that Simon Says one is VBE Geo Says. It's very good. And Paratech, I've used lots of other voice ones, and Paratech seems to be the best so far.
Right, okay. But also we have an app that we have is it's like a translator. It's EVP Speak.
Right.
We were given that by a well-known person. I don't want to say who it is at the minute, but what it is, whenever I have it on my phone, whenever we're somewhere, we were down in Southern Ireland, there was Irish Gaelic on it, and there's so many questions on it from 1 to 10, and you could go to any language on this to ask these 10 questions, like, who are you? Do you like it here? How do you die there? That's just a sample of a couple of questions. But you can get it in Irish Gaelic, you can get it in French, Russian, German. And it is brilliant wee app that we have on our phone. But
sounds brilliant. What was that called?
It's called EVP Speak. It's what's it under? It's I think you can download it if you search for it under the App Store. See if you can find it. It's called EVP Speak.
I'm going to have a look for that. Thank you.
It's really good. You're very welcome. The thing is, we go to a place called, as Gavin says earlier, on Ross Castle down in County Meath. Now, we tried the Irish Gaelic, and then we always tried French, because there was a lot of French people way back in the days, 1700s, when maybe there was a couple of French maids and of the person that lived there. And we tried that one time with French, and we got amazing results from it. So as I say, there's everything you try, all sorts of things you try that you can download as app. Oh,
no, I totally agree with you. I think it's so important that you could just sit there in the dark and wait for something to happen. But if you can try an experiment or a different app or a different piece of tech, or, even down to the Singapore experiment where, you get singing, or, you're laughing and joking, anything to raise that energy level and to hopefully, make that evening a little bit more than just sitting there in the dark is worth it, because you're there to try and interact, and sometimes it's just a question of finding the right way to interact.
You know what, Kerry, you're saying this just remind me of something. We would have the odd social weekend, go down to Ross Castle, and it's usually a social weekend. But what we do when we're sitting, it's a tower, and then there's this building off the tower. There's a big living room with a fire. So what we would put a condenser mic up into the tower, and we would stay downstairs and listen through the speakers of what goes on in the tower. Now, nobody's in the tower whatsoever. Everybody's down in the living room. And we can sit in that living room and we can hear through the condenser mic up in the tower chatter, singing, laughing, doors opening and closing, footsteps up and down the stairs. And it is absolutely an amazing place. So that, and you just remind me that whenever you say you sit in the dark and that, we do sit sometimes in the Ross Cast. When you're talking, laughing and carry on, that's when they seem to come around and they want to get to join you. Yeah. And that's what seemed to be an awful lot going on. A lot of activity goes around when you're chatting and you're not even thinking about them. You're talking away and having fun.
Oh, I completely agree with you. Yeah. No, I completely agree. I was just about to say,
when Kerry does the human pendulum, you know, and we've done the laughing and stuff before, and I've noticed that whenever we've done, you know, we've been laughing around, because we always laugh a lot, because I'll be absolutely honest, I do say a lot of very, very bad jokes. But whenever we laugh a lot, Kerry will do the human pendulum, and the amount of interaction we get with that, I find it proves something. You know exactly what you were saying.
It's energy, yeah. Mark. Sorry, Gavin, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, talking about all things pendulum, we have our very own pendulum man on the team now as well, Gavin Gilmore.
We call him
pendulum man. Okay.
He, you know, the pendulum isn't something that I had ever seriously thought about before, but having seen Gavin working with it, it's something that just over the past few weeks I've become very, very interested in, so much so that I have my own pendulum now. And
so you're talking about a crystal pendulum?
A crystal pendulum, sorry,
okay,
yes.
Sorry, yeah.
Just back slightly there. But I've also got a communication board for it as well, and 98% plus of the questions I'm asking, like they're really random questions, and I'm getting correct answers. So, I mean, it's a strange thing. I'm still trying to get my head wrapped around it, but it's very, very interesting.
See, I work, that's how I work in the field, is with crystals and minerals. So I use pendulums an awful lot. So, you know, I obviously use them extensively. And we're talking about the human pendulum, which is using a human instead of a crystal pendulum in the same sort of way. But, yeah, I mean, I fully endorse using crystals in, you know, paranormal investigations. I love them. That's how I work. It's that energy level.
You are crystal lady.
That's the skill, I suppose you want to call it, that I bring to paranormal investigations. So you're talking my language now here, Gavin.
Yeah, I think it's important to have the mix between the technological and the spiritual, you know. So
yes,
you have just going back to the point where you have to try everything to try and communicate.
Yeah,
well, one supports the other, I think. The technical side would support the spiritual side, because if you experience something spiritual, and it may be a personal experience, if you catch it on either an EVP device or a camcorder, that backs up your personal experience. Yeah, because it's human nature to think if something paranormal happens or something strange happens. The nature of a human being would be to put that down to a rational thing that happened. But see, if you have a bit of equipment that backs that up, then you're going, well, now, okay, that must have been something paranormal, something strange that happened that I can't explain. So I say the technical and spiritual together is very important.
Definitely.
I completely agree with you. Do you find, or have you found, that since you've worked paranormal investigations, that your own sensitivity to spirit has increased?
Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely, 100%. Now, I've been saying this for so long. Whenever See, but before Gary and I got into anything to do with the paranormal, I'll start off to say that anything that scared me, and my own shadow, run upstairs, turn the light off at night, and run up the stairs, scare the life out of myself. I think it's just a magic. Honestly, I was mustard. And then whenever I got into the paranormal, I started realising, okay, they can't really hurt you as such, but I can't feel anything. I can't, because people are saying I feel something, whether the hairs on end, the back of your neck, and it's starting going, I don't feel anything. I need concrete proof. Doubting Thomas, I need to see it in front of my eyes or feel it. But as the years go on, I actually can go into a room. I can feel the hairs go on up on my arms now. I can feel there's something there. I can feel the cold. I do sense an awful lot now, being so many paranormal or haunted places than I did from the start. So 100%, Kerry, I agree with you. You do definitely get more sensitive the more you do this.
I agree.
Just to butt in, there's a couple of questions have been thrown out in the chat room.
Okay, God, oh no. Oh, right.
Well, first of all, Richard says, do GSI cover the whole of Ireland with their investigating? And also, there's a comment here that Jay said, I think a few seconds of interactions and the personal experience contact are worth all the hours of sitting there with nothing happening. And I totally agree with that. What do you guys say?
Oh, definitely 100%, yeah. Especially whenever, as this fella says, when you're sitting in a darkened room and nothing happens, the slightest touch of the slightest thing happening, that would make your night. Even if it's one wee tiny thing that happened, that would make your whole day, a whole week, or a whole month. Yeah. It definitely does. Definitely does. Sorry, what was the other question? Sorry.
Well, there's a couple. I mean, there was one earlier on. What's your the best experience you've ever had in the supernatural world? And the other one is, do you cover the whole of Ireland?
Yes, we do cover the whole of Ireland. We've been down as far as Cork. Gary would have been the furthest we've been. Down Cork. And yes, and way over to Meath and and then Dublin. Yes, we have indeed, yeah. And the paranormal experience, there's too many to note for me. But Gavin, go ahead there, please, whatever you think.
Yeah, well, just saying about covering the whole of Ireland. I mean, since I've been with the team, we've been down to Wexford a couple of times there, and we've worked with a paranormal team down there who are a great bunch of people. We've had some good experiences with them. There was a castle we investigated down in Wexford, and then the next time we went down, it was it was an old theatre.
Athenaeum?
The Athenaeum.
That's it.
Yeah, that was an amazing building. We got all sorts going on that night. You know, the Franks box, shadow figures. There was a lot happened that night. It was really, really good. And again, that's what I like about this team. We are willing to work with any other team, basically.
Yes, 100%.
Whereas my previous experience wasn't like that. It was a very insular team, and they didn't want to know about any other actions from other teams, which I always thought was a bit weird. But you know, as I said earlier on, it's night and day with GSI. It's such a better experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I totally agree. It makes a change to. I mean, we're all in the same boat. We all do the same thing, so it makes best practice for everybody to get on with each other, and you can just share different, like the tech advice. You can share different experiences, different tips of things, and I think everybody should do that. You know.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it's a far more beneficial approach all round.
Exactly.
I do think the paranormal community is starting to open up now, which it never used to. I think it was at one point very, you had your team, you was very closed, but I do feel this movement now towards opening up. People are working more with each other and happy to do so and learn from each other and work in different ways. And it is definitely a slowly evolving situation that's happening, and it's fantastic to see. I mean, we talk to lots of different people on a weekly basis on Parasearch, and it is definitely an opening field rather than a closed field, which is what it used to be. It used to be like I said, individual teams doing their thing, but now knowledge and information is more readily available, and it's opening the way forward for us to be able to move the field forward. Now, this leads me on to my next question for you guys, all of you, this is. Now, we haven't progressed hugely in the way we investigate for quite a long time. We use, new app has, new technology has come on the scene, but in the actual way we investigate, there hasn't been huge steps forward in the field. Do you feel that's going to change? Do you think we're going to change that with this new opening up of teams?
Be nice.
Yeah, it would be. Unfortunately, there's still a lot of teams out there are very closed. But as you say, Kerry, the best thing for everybody is to work with each other, share an awful lot with each other, and sort of push the field forward, as you say. But with the technology, we don't know. There's new technology coming on the scene. There's new ways and new ideas. And we'll go back to the thing with the apps and things. People will laugh and say they're only phone, they're only toy apps and everything else. But what else can you do? Only try everything that there is in the field, whether it be apps, new equipment coming out, new ideas, new spiritual ways, just new thinking. But as you say with other groups, it'd be great if all the groups do work with each other, because everybody has different ideas, they have different ways of doing stuff, and it'd be lovely to learn of each other, as you say, to further the field. But that is my opinion, yeah.
Yeah, Gavin?
Yeah, just to go back to your earlier point there about it's opening up now, whereas it in the past it has been so closed. Mm-hmm. During Brian's presentation when he was over with us, that was one of the things he touched on. He said, sort of pre-2000, paranormal groups, they weren't public. They sort of got together in secret because, as he termed it, back then it was called the occult.
Yes,
that's right.
Post-2000, he says, now everybody who's on a team, especially the guys that are on TV like himself, he says, now you're like a rock star.
Yeah.
It's just so much more socially acceptable now.
I tell you what, one thing I will say on that is everybody slams Most Haunted because of various things that have happened. But what it all comes down to is if it hadn't been for Most Haunted, I don't think any of us would be as mainstream as we are now.
That's right, Mark. Yes. I would agree with you. Gary and I started out watching Most Haunted, and I think that they opened they opened the doors for everybody to be able to dream about doing what they have done, and find out and even learn in a way. At the start, they were very good. At the start, I think they were purely wanting to experience stuff and show people the paranormal in the way they see it, and whether they caught stuff and everything else. Yes, 100%. We loved Most Haunted at the very start because we seen a way that we could maybe get into it and experience that ourselves.
Exactly. We all know not every single investigation has things happen, and as I say, some nights you'll just go home with a cold. But it does make for good TV, and it does, as you said there, Gavin, it's turned you into like we rock stars. And I love it. I just love doing it. I've loved doing it for years. Did it before my son died. Did it before my dad died. And as I said, I was really skeptical about everything until they came through. But then I see and hear certain videos, certain things, like some of your guys' stuff. I look at it and I just sit back and go, wow, I'm so jealous of some of the places you've been. And before you go, there's one place I've got to ask, Crumlin Road Jail.
Wow, Yep. Go ahead, Gavin.
Well, just as I said earlier on, I absolutely love being in that building. Now, don't get me wrong. Yeah. There are places in it that I do feel uneasy, but that gives me a kick. One of the experiences I had in there, it was one of my first visits there with GSI. Yeah. And it was down in the infamous D-Wing. where the worst of the worst were kept.
Yeah.
I saw a shadow moving across a doorway, just from left to right, sort of maybe 5 or 6 times. So I took a walk down towards the door, and I was maybe about 15 feet away from it. I just wanted to check out, try and debunk it. Is there something that could be causing it? But then I knelt down, and then all of a sudden, now not a shadow figure, just a shadow on the floor, came shooting out of the doorway, and I mean, it came at me really, really fast, but it got about half distance between myself and the doorway, and then it just dissipated. And I am convinced that if that shadow had kept coming at me, it would have put me on my back, because it came out with such force, and I wasn't scared, but it was one of those times where I just said to myself, what the hell was that?
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I'd love to go there. One day I'm going to come over and I will annoy you guys and just say, take me.
You're more than welcome.
Yeah, that's on my to-do list, that is, definitely.
There's another place in Belfast that's very good if you ever get a chance. There's many spirits there, but not always the ghostly spirits. It's called Crime Bar. And it's the most amazing place. Gavin, you agree with the last time you did an investigation there, it was amazing, wasn't it?
We had a really active night, Caron, yeah.
We did indeed. Between, we heard footsteps and everything, and then the bar falling off at the end to get our attention. Okay. So there's plenty of places in Belfast, the Crummer Jail, the Crime Bar, a lot of places in there. So you know where to go then, Mark? You ever come over?
Definitely sounds like that's going to be on my list of things to do. What about you, Kerry?
Well, we'll definitely be in touch when we do come to Ireland, and we'll all do it together, I feel. Yes. Now, guys, you have some fantastic events coming up, haven't you?
We do indeed. We have, Gavin, you want to help me here there? So we have this. Go ahead.
Sorry, well, the first one is actually next week, next Wednesday. It's a summer solstice ghost hunt. And that is in a place called the Donaghadee Old Town Hall, which is actually where Brian J Cano was doing his thing.
Yeah. So there's still tickets available for that event?
It's not tickets as such, it's just pay at the door, but there would be still places available, yes.
Okay, so where can they find out that information?
It's a post on our Facebook page. It went up on Wednesday night.
Yeah.
So all people have to do is basically tag themselves and a friend if they want to in the post, and then they just turn up at the door on the night and pay.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who's been to the Donaghadee Town Hall. As Gavin says, Brian did a wee public hunt with us the last week he was here. It's a very active place, a very active haunted location, and anybody that's been there loves it. So as Gavin says, if anybody wants to come along, just put their name down, just so we know the numbers should be there, because there's a light supper being given too. So if anybody wants to come along, just put their names down, and we'll be very happy to see them.
Well, I must admit, I'm on your website now looking at it, and I'm thinking, ooh. So it's also on your website as well, just to put that out there for people.
Yes, it is indeed. Yes, it is, Mark.
And if Richard could share the links for me on our chat room, that would be absolutely awesome. Thank you, Richard. Now, what else have you got coming up? Because you go out quite often, don't you? So you've got the summer solstice event coming on, and you've got another one too, I believe.
We will have maybe a wee break, and then I think the next time we're out is we'll have a wee bit of a field trip over to Wales, to a castle in Wales. So with that coming up, and it's it's hard. We've got wee breaks in between, but usually whenever we do one thing, a wee break in between doesn't end up a break, because something else comes up, and then that's us away again. It's always unpredictable, if you know what I mean. So when we plan something and there's nothing in between, it's very unpredictable, because something else will pop up and we're away. That's what we love about this.
The thing that we've got coming up in Ross Castle in August as well, say that's there'll be an investigation going on, but it's mainly a social weekend.
That's
And
right.
it's one of the weekends that we actually invite some of, the people that follow the group down. Just it lets everybody get to know each other. So there's must be, I'm sure, maybe 6 or 7 members of the public coming with us.
Yeah.
And I think they're all really looking forward to it.
It
Brilliant.
is.
Now, are you able to actually attend to any of the paranormal conventions that are happening in the UK in the next few months?
Well,
Go ahead. Sorry, Gavin.
sorry, yeah, I was just going to say about Sage Paracon coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, no. There's wasn't enough notice, and I think everybody's sort of financially committed to other things as well. But I mean, that would have been such a good experience because obviously Brian's going to be there, and he mentioned it to us, and he said, "Listen, guys, come over. I'll introduce you to John." So I mean, that would have been so amazing, but. I can't make it myself, and I'm not sure if any of the other guys can, but I mean, it would be a fantastic trip.
Yeah, it would have been brilliant for us too. But Gary and I and the family have a wee holiday coming up in October, so any monies and anything like that is going towards that. Unfortunately, as Gavin says, there's a wee bit short notice, but I think we'll start saving this year for maybe next year to go to Sage.
I think I'm with you on that one. Yeah, I can't afford it this year myself, but it's one I am absolutely desperate to do, is the Sage Paracon. Yeah, definitely. We actually have MJ coming on, who's organising the event on the 18th of July on the Paraconcept show. So I'm really looking forward to that. And the other big paranormal convention that's going on this year is called Paraforce. That's on the 22nd of September. And I can't wait for that one because I'm actually going to be able to go to that one because it's a lot cheaper. I know, I'm sorry, but I mean, they are chalk and cheese in regards to conventions, but it's all down to money sometimes, isn't it, guys?
It is. Yeah. Gary and I have to double everything, being a married couple.
Exactly.
So it's doubly.
Oh God, yeah. I've got that with Lynn's. Yeah.
Yeah, it's doubly expensive when you go as a couple. But yeah, sorry, Gavin, I interrupted you there.
Oh no, you're okay. I was just going to say one of the other things. It was one of our posts on Facebook. I can't remember which one it was now, but we have contacts as well just through Facebook with, I think it's the Bluegrass Ghost Chasers in Kentucky, and they have sort of unofficially invited us over to investigate Waverly Hills with them. I mean, that would be one of the holy grails, I think, of paranormal investigation.
I agree.
Yeah, Waverly Hills, yeah.
I agree. And that's another thing on my bucket list to do very shortly, hopefully, is to get to Ohio, where my beautiful Jay Lynch and Teresa Lynch live, and go out with them and spend a couple of weeks investigating and moonshining.
You are taking me with you, and we're going to use that app that you're on about, EVP Speak. Bryce Stratton invented that.
We need to do some serious saving, is all I can say, guys. And on that note, I'm so sorry. We could talk for a lot longer, I'm sure. But we have actually come to the end of our very show tonight. So thank you so much, Mark, for co-hosting with me tonight.
Absolute pleasure. You guys, you're welcome on the show anytime you like, and anytime you're over here. If you want to come up to any of the investigations we're doing, give me a shout. I'll sort it out.
Oh, thank you, Mark. Thank you very much. Thank you.
No, thank you so much. Could you just give us your website address and where people can find you before we disappear?
Yeah, it's ghostsearchersireland.com, and that's the website address, and you can find us on Facebook also.
Excellent. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us tonight. Now, I'm a little excited. I have a brand new show being launched on Sunday evening. It's called The Spirit Dimension, and this is where I get a chance to actually talk about some things that I'm involved with on a more spiritual level. So please join me Sunday evening at 9 p.m. for the very, very first Spirit Dimension show, where I get a chance to talk to a lady called Sarah Chimosero, and she's all the way from Melbourne in Australia. So on that note, I bid you all a very, very good night. And I look forward to seeing you all on Sunday evening. Good night, guys.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to join us for more shows throughout the week. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and the World Wide Web to keep up to date with all the shows right here on Parasearch Radio.
And